Welcome to Dalligan Talks NRL. Now, the first thing we've got to talk about today, Paul, is what happened to the Big D guarantee.
I tell you what, I don't give it out lightly. It's not like I throw it around like wedding confetti, but unfortunately last week, Professor, we didn't get the outcome we wanted. I was very confident with the West Tigers, but maybe some things can't be fixed. So they've been a bad team for a few years. I had them on the up, and it's disappointing that they couldn't get the result, but it's quite unfortunate.
Well, it was an exciting match, Paul, but what I've got to say is that last play from the West Tigers, when you play the ball, you've usually got to have a dummy half behind you.
You do normally, and that's the thing that unfortunately brings down some of the better teams. It's that when they're on the up, teams like that, they can't make mistakes like that, and you wouldn't expect that from the Panthers. You wouldn't expect it from the Storm. But when it happens to a team like the Tigers, who are trying to rebuild after such a tough few years, it's pretty tough.
Now, Schooner's asked me to talk to you about Tom Trebojevic. What I would suggest is the injury-prone Tommy Turbo. I know he injured his knee, the left knee, in the match on Sunday, but the day before in the walkthrough, he ran into a teammate and hurt his right knee.
Well, that's the thing. There's been so many stories of unfortunate injuries. I've got to say this, if he'd stayed healthy, he would have been one of the best players in this comp for the last 10 years. But he's just incredibly cruelled by injuries. And it's a tragedy for Manly that he just can't keep it all together.
Because, so he's just come off a hamstring injury, and now he's sent for scans for his left knee, possibly 5 to 6 weeks out of the game.
Yeah, and it's tough with all that's going on at Manly with the Cherry Evans saga, which I'm sure we'll get to. It would be a very tough time to be a Manly fan. They have a very good team, but they need all hands on deck.
Now, West Tigers, Jarome Luai, grade 2 careless tackle. He's going to miss a week. How's that going to affect the Tigers?
Enormously, because they're playing the Broncos this week, who, as you'll recall, was my tip to win it all, and I stand by that. I think that the West Tigers are in all sorts of trouble now. Their momentum, unfortunately, has stalled, and we're going to have the Broncos winning this weekend.
Now, Wayne Bennett said the Rabbitohs are not going after Daly Cherry Evans, and the Bulldogs have also said they're not going after Daly Cherry Evans. So the favourites for signing him are the Roosters.
I've heard it's a done deal, but what would I know, Professor? Who would I know? Anyway, so I think that he'd be a perfect fit at the Roosters, as much as I hate to say it. But I think that he could deliver them a premiership. He's that good. And as much as that would hurt Schooner and Manly fans, I think it's good for the game if he can actually find a home. I'm still stunned by the way that's all panned out. And no one maybe will know the full extent of the truth, but it's tough to see.
Now, the top tipster, 8-0 last week, 3 from 8 this week. A bit of a fall from grace.
I think Confucius said it best, pride comes before a fall. I did say that when I was boasting about 8 out of 8 that I would fall, and I did. So I love saying this. We've said this for many years. It's such an open comp that it's very hard to predict. So I do love that uncertainty of this competition, but I'm quite confident of this weekend's predictions, which we're about to get to.
All right, well, let's first of all have a quick look through the last results. Your Rabbitohs, starting off on Thursday night, beat the Panthers 28-18. 28-0 at half-time. Did they put the cue in the rack too early?
I was absolutely stunned. I won't say this, but I'd have it up there with my wedding video for memories, because I just couldn't. I couldn't expect that would happen. It was almost like a dream, I tell you. I didn't expect the Rabbitohs to be that good, and it was against a team that's won the last 4 premierships. So I was stunned, absolutely stunned. And I've got to say, and we've said it for how many years now, that Wayne Bennett is the master.
Well, he was the master in the press conference after the game. One of the perfect answers I've ever heard. The question was, how did you get a better effort out of the players in the first half? He looked straight down the camera and said, well, I asked them.
That's it. And sometimes that's all it needs. Simple, direct leadership. It's really seen in this world, unfortunately, with all the bad optics. But he was amazing. And I'll tell you, he's got some tricks up his sleeve for this week, which we'll get to against the Roosters.
Now, Paul, got to say, the Panthers, 3 losses in a row. They're way down the ladder. Can they recover from where they are?
They'll recover, because the best player of the last 5 years, if not more, Nathan Cleary, is back. They'll beat the Cowboys, and we've already got the red pen through those Cowboys, haven't we? Just check the tape, but they're gone. So the Panthers they'll be back this week in a big way against the Cowboys, and that's Friday night.
All right. Remember the Titans. Your prediction: the Titans beat the Roosters 30-12, 6-all at half time. It was an excellent game till half time, and then the Titans just ran away with it.
I've got to say this, and it's very close to a Big D guarantee, but I'm not going to throw it around willy-nilly. I think that the Titans are specials this weekend against the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are gone. Red pen, Sportsfan stand, get the red pen out. The Dolphins are gone this year.
So I did a review of the stats. The Roosters had a completion rate of 59%. You can't win a game completing 59%.
No, you can't, and it's so un-Rooster-like. And that's perhaps why they are so excited to get Cherry Evans on board, because he'll bring that leadership, which only a good 7 can do. And I think that's exactly what the Roosters have been waiting for. They've got money in the salary cap. They don't need to breach it. Not that they've ever done that. But Cherry Evans he'll be a Rooster next year. There's no doubt there in my mind.
All right. The Broncos beat the Dolphins in the Battle of Brisbane. Tedeschi has been scathing of Dolphins coach Christian Wolf. What are your thoughts on what
we've talked about it. It's the post-Wayne Bennett effect. I don't know why it is, but it seems that teams, perhaps because he's the best coach ever, they fall off when the best coach ever isn't there. So he has been scathing. I've seen the commentary. They have been a bad team, and perhaps they don't have the cattle, but they haven't been great, and the Titans will do a number on them this weekend.
Now, what did surprise me, Broncos centre Giamatti Shibasaki, who is Torres Strait Islander and Japanese heritage. He's been a player that's moved all around the league. Started off with the Broncos, then to the Knights, then the Cowboys, then to Souths, your team, now back to the Broncos. He rarely scores tries. He's already scored 3 this season. What's going on there?
Now, the mail is on him that he's keeping some very good players out of the team. He is burning up the track, and he could be an Origin bolter, Professor. He's doing that well. So in that Broncos backline is pretty star-studded. He is amazing. So I'll keep an eye on him for the bolter of the year.
All right. The Dragons, a surprise victory over the Storm at Kogarah. The Storm didn't score in the second half.
Very unstorm-like, and I know I get some flack for not tipping the Storm to finish higher regularly, but I just wonder whether they've got that killer punch. So it is a worry for Storm fans. I've got to tell you that I expected them to do that easy.
Disappointing crowd at Kogarah, even though it was raining, Paul. Only 6,000 people there.
Yeah, and you say that to an AFL person, that's embarrassing, 6,000. So it is a worry, and it's a real concern for the Storm, because they should have put that game away very easily. And this weekend against the Eagles is a litmus test for the Storm, I think, and their premiership credentials. Now,
let's mention a team that we've put a red line through, the Cowboys. If a team you've put the red line through beats another team, do you put a red line through that team as well? Cowboys 30, Raiders 20.
Well, yeah, not yet on the Raiders. They're very unpredictable, but I'm not far off it. I think they need to get something going pretty soon. I do think the Sharks will beat them tomorrow night, and I think that's very close to where the Raiders often hang, which is worried about whether they'll make the 8 or not.
Now, very happy to talk about my Bulldogs. 20 beat the Sharks 6 at Shark Park. Can you believe that? And the Sharks scoreless in the second half.
I've been doing a lot of work in the Brisbane office at my firm, and the Brisbane boys were saying the Sharks were a big chance. I didn't think it would happen, but the Dogs were a big chance. I didn't think it would happen, but it's a big win, and that's a very tough place to play. Just ask the Rabbitohs, who were absolutely demolished at the Shark Park, and the Rabbitohs have been on fire. So the Sharks are a very good team, and I still tip them to finish in the top 4, but a massive win for the Dogs, and I think they're building enormously.
Well, and the Bulldogs have got a lot of their players sitting on the pine at the moment.
They do, and that's the thing, that the Dogs are doing it without some of their stars on deck. So I think the Dogs, I don't want to give it away, but I think they're building towards a big few weeks.
And Bailey Hayward at 5'8" seems to have surprised many people.
He has, and I must say I shared this with a Dogs mate today. I didn't know much about him, but he's been amazing, and the Dogs are building. It's a really good team, and the defence has been amazing, but also the attack is there, and also, as you say, without their 2 best players.
Now, the only interesting thing about the Sea Eagles and the Eels game, Paul, was the body language at the press conference afterwards when Anthony Seibold was sitting next to Daly Cherry Evans.
Yeah, I'm still trying to work out what happened in that saga. No one may know, but I'm interested that the Seagulls won, but I think this weekend against the Storm, that will be their litmus test. And I don't think it's easy in any environment to say, I love you guys, but I'm going somewhere else. And that's what's happened with Cherry Evans. And there's no other way to put a spin on it. Who's at fault? Put that to one side. But it's very hard to galvanise a team. And I know there's been some talk in the AFL this week with the Eagles captain who's meeting with other coaches. It's very hard to be the leader of a team when everyone knows you're going. And I don't mind Gary Lyons' comments on the Eagles captain. It's very hard to have a unified team when they know that your heart isn't in it.
Well, the other thing was the pointed remark during the press conference from Daly Cherry Evans saying it's hard not to take things personally. So obviously there's been some personal attacks on him.
There's been some, yeah, exactly. And I think that Dylan Brown on $1.5 million might have influenced that. But there's a lot gone on there that he perhaps thinks he should have been treated better, and I'm in that camp.
The West Tigers, the guarantee game, lost to the Warriors. Listen, it was a great game.
It was a good game. Yeah.
And I think the West Tigers, as we mentioned before, were just outplayed at the end. They didn't know how to finish off, Paul.
They didn't know that, and yeah, it's. I thought they'd get home there. They should have won that game, but the Warriors are, as we've always talked about, the most unpredictable team, I think, in Australian sport or Australasian sport, Professor.
All right, tomorrow night, round 5 starts. Thursday night game, Raiders against the Sharks at Bruce Stadium. Who do you like and why, Paul?
I like the Sharks. I still tip them to finish top 4. I think they've had a bit of a tough run of late, but I think that they will put the Raiders into questionable territory. The Sharks will win that.
The first Friday night game, the entree, the Panthers playing at Parramatta because they can't play on their own ground, playing the Cowboys who have already put a red line through. If the Panthers lose this one, there'd be a red line going through them as well, I would have thought.
The Panthers are looking at it now. It's $1.25, but I think it's get out the super stuff. It's the Panthers are specials, absolute specials. But I don't give the Big D guarantee out lightly, so I like a bit more value for the punters. They'll win that and win it easily. The Cowboys are gone.
Now, a game that you would always love to go to, Paul, playing the Rabbitohs against the Roosters.
I've got to say, the Rabbitohs back 5 makes me very, very excited. One of my favourite ever players, Jack Whiten. Latrell Mitchell, who Wayne Bennett, in one of his master mental game, mind game tricks, has said he'll come back at fullback. What you don't do is when you've got a fullback who's winning the Dally medal as we speak, leading the Dally medal, which is a Brownlow equivalent for the Melbourne listeners, you don't displace that. So he's kept him at number 1, and Mitchell's coming in at the centre. Between Mitchell and Whiten and Jai Gray at the back, who is the leader of points for the most exciting player in the comp. Wow. So I don't want to say it, but I'll say it. I'm very excited about this game. I think the Rabbitohs are absolute specialists, but I won't do the guarantee just yet.
All right. The Eels, we've already put a line through them. They're on the bottom of the ladder playing the Dragons at Parramatta on the Saturday.
Yeah, I think the Dragons will win. I think the Eels got way too many issues to compete anymore. It's quite a sad state of affairs. I think the Eels are in a rebuilding phase. I didn't know if Jason Rolls knew how tough it would be.
I don't think he knew how tough it would be either, Paul. All right, the middle game on Saturday. Remember the Titans playing at home against the 0-4 Dolphins. I think I like the Titans in this one.
I like them a lot. So there's a lot of specials this weekend. I think they're absolute. And it's an amazing team with the backs they've got and the forwards. It's going to be a great game. But I think the Dolphins are gone.
Broncos playing at Suncorp, always very hard to beat, playing the West Tigers without Jarome Luai.
You've got to be off the Tigers without Luai. They weren't winning with him there, and the Broncos are specials in that game. The next one I'm very interested in how Manly will go with all that's happening against the Storm. Storm aren't known for losing too many back-to-back. I'm all over the Storm this game.
Brookvale's a very hard place to win, Paul. What I like is Manly have played 4 games so far. This will be their 5th. They've played 4 of those at Brookvale.
Yeah, I don't know how that's worked. It must be a scheduling sort of analogy. But anyway, it's unusual. But I just think the Storm are going to rebound. They'll win that game. Unfortunately for Schooner.
And the nightcap on Sunday night, my Bulldogs playing the Novocastrian Knights.
And without obviously concluding the show, you've got me on the end. This is a big D guarantee. The Bulldogs will beat the Knights, and I think they'll do it easy.
Wow, that's a big one.
Big one, yeah. So it's I've been sold on Bailey Hayward. I didn't know who he was, but I think that the Dogs are rolling, and I think it'll be an absolute big game for the Dogs. Their defence, I think, is more impressive than the attack. It's a very impressive team that you've got on the park.
All right, Paul. Well, thanks for going through the NRL again with me this week, and I'll look forward to seeing how your predictions go, especially the Big D guarantee.
Good stuff. Thank you. I'll do it again next week.